Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Bucs UK TV, episode 76. It's Victory Week, the ones that we like. I am joined by Tim, David, and Stuart. Hello, guys.
Hi, how you doing?
Tim, you were in the thick of it in every sense of the word, braving all forms of weather patterns to get to that game. You were in the stadium. How did it feel in the stadium beating the Falcons?
It was a great atmosphere while we were playing well. Up until the third quarter, it was really lively, and then for some reason we took our foot off the gas, and the atmosphere just died in the stadium. And it was sad to say, people started to leave.
Oh,
the atmosphere died that quickly.
The price of victory.
It was a win, and a win is always important, no matter how it comes, and especially in a division.
Well, let's do our usual raking over the muck, and this time it's a crushed falcon at the bottom of Tom Brady's foot. David, maybe if we start with you then. Offensively, it seemed like a tale of two cities, a game of two halves.
Yeah, I mean, offense did really well again. Just looking at Tom Brady's stats through week 4, I mean, he's right up there. It doesn't really feel it, does it? But actually, true. I don't think you can really sort of complain about the offense. I mean, 351 yards for Brady. He did pass a lot. Was it 52 attempts, 32 completions? And I think a lot of those incompletions actually just threw the ball away. So, he ended a lot of time, didn't make any stupid decisions, kept it safe. So, I mean, they did a job. I think 21 points was okay. It wasn't spectacular. But actually, it did the job, and that's all we really wrote.
It's true. We were talking about this earlier and saying how complacent and how selfish and how sort of arrogant we've become that we're starting to think, oh, Brady, maybe he's having a bad week. But actually, he's still far the best we've ever had.
And you look around the league at the minute, there's a lot of struggling quarterbacks out there. Actually, average is pretty good at the minute.
Absolutely. And we'll come on to talk about the other end of the spectrum, how we're going to face up against Kenny Pickett in only his second start. Stuart, but for you, the offense, what were the highlights?
I think, one of the highlights was K. Dotson having a good game. He's a rookie, he's new. Played a fair game as well. We passed around to all the different receivers. Most had a good game. I thought Cage still needs a bit of getting used to the offense. But apart from that, Fournette, I just love watching Fournette play.
Well, I mean, we were sat next to each other, weren't we? And it may have been the Brewdog talking, but sorry, other beers are available. But it felt, we were saying, I think I used the phrase something like the new Cameron Bray, and I think you replied and said, no, he's the new Gronkowski. So, Otten, I mean, what do you think the ceiling could be there?
Who knows? I mean, he's playing with Brady in his first year, so we'll have to see if he continues. But it's positive stuff, I think.
Tim, again, in the stadium, he got there were some good cheers for him, weren't there?
Yeah, it was good to see him start to earn some of the trust of Brady. That's the key bit with any of these young players. It's the thing that Scotty Miller hasn't had for the last season. The K. Dotton, he did the job that we required that Cameron Brady hasn't been able to do so far. And unfortunately, Gronk is not going to answer that phone anytime soon to get him back into the team. So he is going to be our number one option, I feel, going forward. Now, the next part will be trusting him in the red zone. All his catches were midfield up to about the 30-yard line. But I love the way we moved the ball around. Fournette, his best pass catching day as a back, quite comfortably. Yeah, it was good. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin looked back to fitness. Mike Evans is the greatest receiver the Bucs have ever had, so we'll just leave him alone. Scotty Miller, still don't trust the guy, unfortunately.
Bucs Report called the game the Scotty Miller redemption event. Do you think he's...
Not quite. He did have a big influence on the biggest play of the game, which I think one of the big games plays that we'll talk about a little bit later, even though he wasn't directly involved in it. So he did okay. I've still got a problem with our rushing game. Why we first down is always up the rear end of the guard or the tackle. I just don't see this running into the line. We don't look for space. In fairness to Fournette, he runs with power, but you can't run with power into a 300-pound lineman. You are not going to get too far. I'd like to see more sweeps start to come into the game. Just put these. Fournette is good in space. Rashad White is good in space. Let's try and work that space into the game for them.
David, do you think, I mean, Tim's mentioned the line, do you think the run play selection, the degree of the passing, do you think there's a sort of a lack of confidence in the line, or do you think they gave a fair account of themselves against some good matchups?
I think they did all right, and I think there was an element of playing it safe in the game, particularly given the performance the week before. But you know, I think it's still a learning offense for some of these. I mean, we want to see Lenny run all the time, but actually, if he goes down, we're in trouble. So it was good to see Rashad White get some more plays and get in there. And you know, we haven't got a lot of backup. I mean, Kieron Vaughan's been non-existent this year after we let Wojo go. They've not even suited him up most games. So, but yeah, I mean, just straight down the middle all the time is just frustrating for everybody. Now, whether it's part of a cunning plan and we open it up second half of the season, a bit like actually we did Super Bowl season. If you think the first half of the season, it was very conservative, wasn't it? And then everything started opening up. And I think while we've got the receiving core just getting back to fitness, the likes of Godwin and that, I think we are possibly playing it to a degree cautiously. But again, it's not, the offense is still actually quite well performing. So I think we've had a lot of bad years of Buccaneers. Let's not overdo the negatives on it, because actually I think we're still in a good place.
Yeah, you mentioned Kieron Vaughan, and Stuart, we were talking about this a little bit on the night again. Rashad White kind of had a few cameos into the game. Do you feel like he might be sort of someone's start to ramp up now the season's progressing?
Well, I think he's going to need to. We can't just keep playing Fournette all the time, because if he's just playing constantly, he's going to get injured. So he needs to have those breaks, and we need White to fill in those gaps. But I think things have been positive for White so far. You know, so I think he's only going to develop.
Okay, let's flip over to. Oh God, sorry, go on, Tim.
Yeah, he looks a decent runner. Can't say a good runner at the moment, but he does look a very good receiver out of the backfield. And that will provide the space he needs, because he can make people miss him in that space.
I think that's a fair point, because, of course, with the injuries at running back, we are slim pickings. Let's go to the other side of the ball, where I don't know about you guys, but I feel a little bit glass half full, a bit glass half empty. Again, Tim, tell us, you were inside the stadium. How did the D feel?
Flat. There wasn't a great deal of. You talk the big names. We didn't hear Devin White, Lamonte David called all day. Vita Vea, not at all. We looked very poor against two rookie running backs. You got to remember, they didn't have Cordarrelle Patterson either. So we looked quite poor, stopping Algier and Caleb Huntley. You know, these guys are not top backs. And our rush defense, which last year with Ndamukong Suh, did I mention his name, looked much stronger. So we need Akeem Hicks back. If that's what gives Vea space, we need Hicks back sooner rather than later. Or again, possibly.
Well, you might have just offended Stuart, because he's still trying to make his jersey selection for the next player he's going to be buying. And I think it was a toss-up between Vea and Winfield, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it'll be.
But they both had good games, I thought. I think Vea did have a sack. I seem to remember.
He did get a sack, and I think Winfield got the most tackles in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I mean, that sort of shows it that, you know, the defensive line was being broken quite a lot, and it was up to sort of the linebackers or the secondaries to tidy up and kill the runs. But they were making 7, 8, 9 yards quite a lot of times there. And I think I turned to you, Kieron, and I said, has anyone seen Shaq Barrett lately?
Yeah, I think if I was going to point a finger, I would say outside linebacker, both Shaq Barrett and also Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I I was pulling. I haven't got much hair left, but what I was having, I was pulling out of my head because it felt like the commentators just couldn't see that he was playing the game wrong on almost every down. I thought there were so many plays where he got caught up on the inside, and the Falcons ended up taking it to the outside, and in some cases he was the second tackler there because he'd recovered. He's clearly got great speed, but I just felt like he lacked a lot of discipline to stop, keep contain, stop everyone scrambling, and that's going to cost us, particularly with young mobile quarterbacks. So,
can I just add, it's a shame we haven't got Gary Bottley on the call tonight because he was livid with Shayenka's play this week and why pass rushers from other teams can beat the tackles one-on-one. And Shayenka, but also Shaq Barrett, as you mentioned, not getting anywhere near them at the moment. And they're just blitzing, they're just running straight through the middle of us. And unfortunately, Winfield, what a tackler that boy is. He knows how to tackle properly, and thank God he does.
And David, you were talking about the names we didn't hear. The Logan Club, both Hall and Ryan seemed to be a bit AWOL, didn't they, as well? And there was the defenders going down. It was shades of a couple of years ago. Was it Carlton Davis and Mike Edwards both went off, I think.
Yeah, so Carlton's got a hip injury, hasn't he? Yeah. Mike Edwards has an elbow right towards the end of the game as well. And Sean Murphy-Bunting, who's only really just started to play again. He's been sort of left on the sidelines quite a lot this season. But, he's got a quad injury as well. So all of a sudden, a bit like the start of last year, secondary's going down. So, hopefully they're just niggles and they're back out there and it's not long lasting.
The concern one of that is Sean Murphy-Bunting. His sounded a lot worse than the others while we were there. His leg popped and different things. So that could be a nasty one. So fingers crossed. Because, Dave, you're right. We look a bit light now. Zion McCollum came in, made a couple of tackles, didn't do anything wrong. We might have to see more of him going forward.
Do you think, Stuart, there was a bit of controversy on Twitter sort of the day after the game with various headlines about what players have been saying from the defence in terms of effort and commitment, and did they own the Falcons? Did they take their foot off the gas? And Tim said it was flat. What do you think the defence needs to do next week? We'll talk more specifically about the Steelers, but kind of in your magic wand general moment, what's the fix?
I think they need to have a big, big play. Get that momentum going, get that, bonding between them again. Because there was nothing. There was a couple of sacks on Sunday, but there wasn't a big interception or there wasn't a massive play that really got the defence, together.
And the crowd as well. I mean, when the crowd make one in place, we couldn't even get the boat out.
No, Stuart, I think Stuart, you just made a really good point. We're not making splash plays. We won't make a highlight play on ESPN or anywhere at this moment with this defense. And that, as you say, is what really gets the crowd going, especially on the first one or two series.
Yeah,
I think that's true. Which leaves us only 1/3 of the team left to discover. It is, of course, mediocre teams. Sorry, I mean special teams. David, again, we were talking in London at the club meetup. How do you think it went?
Well, I think it's nice to just sit back and let Suck Up do his stuff. Kamada, got a huge leg on him, almost to a degree that I thought a couple of times at the weekend it was so big that our gunners couldn't even get close to get up and cover it. And probably the biggest plays he's made in the last two games, he's made 2 last-ditch tackles, actually, that have really not been recognised. But I think he's come pretty close, 2 games in a row, Kamada, to saving touchdowns.
So I think that's a really good point, Stuart. So, I mean, I think we all agree, Suck Up Kamada with the bright spots. But maybe the rest of it, how do you think the rest of it fared?
I did actually see on the day, Darden make 2 people miss on the day. On one part, he does actually look slightly more confident this year to take somebody on. He's not hitting the ground at the first point of contact or even without contact. So he has improved a little bit to me. Again, that could be a confidence thing. But our special teams, they're decent special teams. No more than that at this moment. Because the other side of the ball is we don't cover punts well. If they punt to Darden, he's got two people there straight in his face. Either side of him as that ball comes down. We're not blocking out wide long enough to give him any opportunity.
Yeah. As a special teams, we never feel like we're going to make massive gains on the return of a ball, do we? We just feel like it's almost always just leave it to go out so we can take it to the 22-yard line. Don't try and run it back, because it never seems to go well for us, which is a shame.
And I know what Phil would say. Phil would say, well, there were no fumbles, no mistakes, field goals were made, stop complaining. But you think in a series where I think, was it 5 drives in a row? It was 3 and out for the Bucs. We need special teams to give us the edge, don't we?
Change field position. That's what special teams do. And we don't. Whether it's the call when they go out there, you've got the greatest of all time there. Don't do anything stupid. Don't fumble the ball. If it's on the 20-yard line, it's on the 20. If it's on the 30, it's on the 30. Give it to Brady and let him do his job. That could be the message that's going out there.
It could be. I think we're in no danger of ever blocking a punt, though, or a kick. It doesn't seem like that's not how we're playing. But then if we're setting up 2 blockers out wide for the Gunners, like you say, Tim, they're not doing a very good job.
Not so far. Darden has had no chance.
But I think if you look at the league in general, very much like the quality of performance of quarterbacks at the minute, no one is making a lot of splash plays on special teams anymore. But actually, the big difference for us and other special teams is actually we've got a kicker.
Yeah.
I mean, for the last 2 years,
point.
missing kicks has been huge in the league. At least we've got someone sounding that touchwood now. There. So actually, is that all nowadays in the modern game? You can ask of your special teams.
And as we know, last year with the championship games, the 4 games in the playoffs, I think all of them, all 4 of them, or at least 3 of them, came down to that last kick. So that can be the difference maker. It's interesting that you've got Kamada doing the kickoffs because Suckup doesn't have the range. But when it comes to the field goals, I think one of them was at 44, 45. He's still got some leg.
He hit 2 at 47 last week, didn't he? So he's got enough there to do a job.
I don't think we're ever going to be in a position where we're expecting Matt Bryant 62 yards out of him, but
no,
he's
not
a
at
good
all.
solid kicker.
Yeah.
You expect him to get those kind of ranges. Maybe not bigger, but it's good. It's good to have confidence in him.
Yeah, it is.
You're there all the time and watching him. You think this guy won't miss from under about 43, 44 yards. As soon as it starts to go out further, then you're thinking he might have to hang this a little bit, and that's when it can start to go slightly wrong. He hasn't got the range of a Justin Tucker or someone like that.
Yeah. But I think what Dave said is what he has got is accuracy. And if ever you go on a tour of Ray J, or you ever just stand on a football field, go and stand on the 40-yard line, put your finger up, and it covers the goalposts. The degree of aim that you've got is minuscule, and to have that consistency is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And what I like about him, he tends to hit the middle of the goalposts. They don't tend to sneak in very often. So, we sit there, we think, 3 points sorted.
Absolutely. Well, you've heard it here from us. There were lots of people watching the game in London. There were even more watching the game on the forum. It was a busy weekend for Bucs UK. But we've got some of your views, which I will try and share now. Okay, first of all, Steve Gargett. Not sure the second half performance bodes well for the rest of the season. Hopefully the first half team will turn up next week. I think it's right. We just want to put 4 quarters together, but there's still a long way to go. Alex Howes. How is Mike Evans, with his abilities and his record, not talked about by the experts as being the best in the league? Cup, Devontae Adams, etc. always in the chat, but I'd take Mike over them all, and it's not bias. Very lucky to have him for his whole career in Tampa. I think, Alex, you're preaching to the choir, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you talk about the lack of splash plays in that game. Actually, there were 2, and they were both Mike Evans receptions. The one where did he get over the post or not for the touchdown, and he made another amazing reception. His arm stretched, really went for it. So, I mean, they were the 2 highlights of the whole game, really. But Every week he turns up and delivers something, doesn't he?
And, you know, we were saying one of the things we were discussing at London was about, you know, is he going to get to his 1,000 yards? He's already on course, isn't he?
Oh,
He's doing,
he'll get there, and he'll work hard to get. He is the ultimate team player.
Yeah.
And yes, Alex was right. We're lucky to have him.
And then finally, Lee Morgan, who was live at the game yesterday, loved it. Let's go Bucks. And as much as I'll keep talking about London and keep talking about the Forum, of course, Tim, you know, there were lots of you in the stadium, and I had to put the picture in. This is his post. I don't know if you can see this, but on his left, is that his mate, or is they're sort of improvising some sort of sunshade with the bucket going on the head. Interesting.
Can I say, Kieron, where Lee is? That would have been really hot up there because that was directly in. The sun was directly on the back of his head. So that guy, fair play to him.
I'm worried if he went home with like some sort of weird tan line or something. Maybe there's a bald spot under there or something. So there you have it. We've talked a little bit about the socials, but Stuart, maybe just for those that haven't come to one of our club socials and they're watching, tell us what is it, how it goes down, and how you found it.
I just found it great. You know, so you know there was an area in a bar in London which had the game on, is where member of the Bucs UK met up and watched together. I mean, we watched so many games alone at home, just on the forums. It's just so good to meet up with fellow Bucs fans and watch the game together, get to cheer together. So if you're ever able to go, I'd seriously recommend it. It's you know, a few beers, a game of football, some good people. What more do you want?
There you go. Some good people.
I think we need it brought to Abertillery somehow.
Well, there is still one to come, isn't there, David?
There is indeed, week 9 against the Rams, and that's up in Birmingham. And of course, for us UK fans, that's a 9:25 kickoff. So it's going to be quite a night. We're getting there probably around 7:30 at least, or maybe earlier. Watch the early games. We're going to do a live podcast as well with Gene, and then onto the game ourselves. And because it's a late night in the UK for us, it's a lock-in a pub. So plenty of beer. What could be better?
That's right. Yeah, Gene from Buck What You Heard's going to be there, so that we'll probably have 2 podcasts. I think. I don't want to promise too much. 2 podcasts next week. There'll be the special we record before the game, which would be a sort of general chat around Gene and the Bucks and a live Q&A. And I know he's got some prizes to give away. And then we'll have our usual pouring post-mortem over the game during the week. So details are on the forum, aren't they, David?
Yeah, they are. Go on there. You can get your tickets in advance. £6 a head, and that gets you some food to get going for the evening. You buy the drinks and
gets you a lot of food. We had like 4-kilogram wing buckets coming out. I thought they were never going to end last week.
Yeah, I found them quite spicy, but
yeah,
I'm not a spicy.
Looking forward to my debut. So anybody else joining us for their debut in Birmingham, come and see me.
I did think being Birmingham, is it going to be a curry?
Curry wings? That could be special. Anyway, so let's move on then. So next week, thankfully for us, it's a 1 p.m. kickoff, 6 p.m. UK time. It's the Steelers, and it seems, Tim, like they're a team in transition, aren't they?
They certainly are. There's a time to go to Three Rivers to take Mike Tomlin team down. This is the week to do it. They are pretty poor on defense. You know, since TJ Watt went down, there is nobody that is going to frighten us on defense. And, you know, we're going to mention him, Kenny Pickett, a rookie receiver. If Shaq Barrett and Joe Tryon fancy a day, this could be it coming up on Sunday.
So sorry, Kenny Pickett, quarterback, not receiver, you said. So last week was his first. It's close because there's George Pickens, the receiver, so it's close.
No,
so it's his first start last week. I've watched the highlights. Has anyone else watched the highlights? Who wants to say what's the skinny on Pickett, do you think?
Not a lot, but interestingly, his figures were very close to Brady's last week. What does he have? Something like 34 completed passes out of 54 or something attempts. So, I mean, that's not a lot of difference at Tom, except he threw one interception, which, given the receiving core he's got, probably wasn't actually that bad.
No, it does sound like he was not doing better than probably Mitch Trubisky would have done in the similar circumstances. And as you mentioned, David, I think it shows that the fact he had to throw the ball that many times. I can't believe you'd ever want to put a rookie quarterback in their first NFL start and give them that many throws of the ball.
Yeah. It just shows what their running game's made of as well. I mean,
yes, yeah, running back Najee Harris, who's not unknown and not bad, and then with the fullback Derek Watt, Jalen Warren, and Benny Snell Jr. the backups. I can't say Snell Jr. has ever been on my fantasy team. Stuart, do you think the Steelers are going to put some points on the Bucs?
No. Well, I hope not. I hope not. You know, we have in the past had some interesting games against rookie quarterbacks, but I don't think the Steelers are in that position. It's they're pretty poor this season, and there doesn't seem to be anyone who can give them that spark. So I think if the defense comes out strong, and then a few sacks, maybe an interception, I think it will be a big win. But people always want to play well against Brady. You can never, it's going to be. He's a rookie. He's got nothing to lose. It's going to be possibly his only chance to play against the greatest of all time. So he's going to be up for it. I don't think it'll be close. The defense will put him down.
Okay, what do you think the key for the defense is this week?
As long as we take Najee Harris out of the game, who I think is a decent back. And as I said early on, we struggled with two rookie running backs who weren't as not as good as this lad. So if we can shut him down and you then again force a rookie quarterback to throw, that's when you get your chances to make plays. Should we win? Yes. Will we win? Yes. Will we make it comfortable? Probably not, knowing the Bucs, because they just want to keep us on edge all game. But it should be a game that, like Atlanta, we should put away big and early.
David, if we go to the other side of the ball, then the Steelers D, I mean, we always say that the only people that the Bucs can be defeated by is the Bucs. Do you think they're going to be able to move the ball on the Steelers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Godwin's second game back, and he's had limited play. He was sort of put in as fully fit this week, so he's finding his position again now. Obviously, Mike's Mike is there. Otton, as we said, we've got people that are starting to play now, and I think this is where actually the offensive game sort of continues to gel. And so, I don't have a problem with that. I don't see that we're going to struggle on that. I would go back just on the defense for a minute. Is actually need to get to Pickett early if we've got a lot of our secondary out injured.
Yes.
I think one of the things is protecting that secondary if we've got 3 starters missing.
It feels like we've not necessarily been blitzing less than in previous years, but just not getting there, maybe.
Agreed.
I think the first 2 or 3 games, actually, we did stop the blitz so much. I think the linebackers were definitely dropping back a little bit into coverage and not going heavy blitz. But I think this is definitely a game where we do go for it.
It seemed a bit more vanilla on D last week, because obviously the week before we were talking about this wonderful new formation with the 3 linemen at one end and the backer stood up at the other, and weird things of who's dropping into coverage stuff. And we didn't really see much of that last week. So maybe the coaches are sort of randomizing things a little bit, and we might see. But I think. You still got Minka Fitzpatrick in the safety. I think it's a reasonable set of linebackers. They play a 3-4 type thing and a lot of nickel like the Bucs. So I think we're gonna see something similar maybe. But
yeah,
I guess
we could do, but we are, I think, top to bottom more talented defense wise. We've just now got this week to really show it.
I mean, I think all this thing in the press this week with the interview and them taking foot pedal. I think they will come out firing this week. They've sort of they've got something to prove now. They've set themselves up. They've got to deliver. So
I think it was just important to get a win on Sunday rather than a big win. You know, after two defeats at home, just getting back on track. You know, keeping the top of the division. So I think, you know, having us, you know, it might have been not been spectacular, but getting that win was important, and I think we can progress from there.
Okay, so before I ask you for your scores, it's magic wand time. You're a coach. You can wave your magic wand in one direction for the Bucs. What are you going to stick your house points on this week to try and double down and focus on for improvement? David, starting with you.
I was really tempted to say Arians takes a playbook off Leftwich.
What, to call the plays or to stop Leftwich making those calls?
Either would help. I don't know. It's just so, this run up the gut is just such hard work to watch at the minute.
Okay, so better
we need to get
calling.
a bit more daring, yeah.
Tim?
I'm looking for Shaq Barrett and Joe Tryon-Shane get to Kenny Pickett.
So linebacker wake-up call.
Pressure. Dave mentioned it. Pressure.
Pressure, but also discipline. I don't want to see losing contain and quarterbacks rolling out on us. Because young quarterbacks will be more mobile than Brady, so they're not used to playing against young quarterbacks in practice. RD, it's a Zimmer frame or a walking stick in on our thing. Stuart, your magic wand.
A big score. Yeah, execution in the red zone. You know, but let's finish them off and not let them get back in. You know, let's get a big score up. You know,
so
30,
definitely 7, not 3
points. Yeah.
So your prediction then for the score, Stu?
35-13.
I'm not a million miles away from you, but I like that's comfortable. We like comfortable scores. We haven't got to. We can put the cardiac machine to one side. Tim, your call for the score.
34-6. I think we will actually keep them out of the end zone. So 6-9 points. I don't think I'll score a touchdown.
Oh, this is good. This is good. So it's because it's 6 p.m. game. My eldest son Samuel will actually be watching it with me. So I like to see him. We actually see him the Bucs win. So he might actually have a chance of supporting them. David, are you going to keep the roll going?
Yeah, I was going something like 31-10 as well. I think offense, we've clearly got their number, and defense, can we actually put in a whole 4 quarters? You know, I think, you know, if we could limit them to field goals, that'd be brilliant, but they might sneak one.
I think it's going to be a battle of attrition. I think at halftime, we could see this score being something silly like 3-3. But I think by the final whistle, I think it's something like 31-3, because I think we're going to come up, we're going to wake up, and I think we've got the depth, we've got the skills, we've got the experience. We're going to wear down a much younger team. We're a much older team now. We have to realise that, I think. So that might come into it. Hopefully, it all comes good. But again, that's what we say. What do we know? Tell us in the comments where we've got it wrong, or in fact, if we're underestimating it. Should it be 40s? I'm sure Pete Payne will be in the comments telling us it's going to be 50-something. So that'd be nice to see. But thank you, Tim. Thank you, David. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we'll see you soon in the Midlands at our next meet up. But in the meantime, everyone, go Bucs!
Go Bucs!
Go Bucs!